everybody, Destiny Gilliam here from the Creative Reading Coach, and I am here with another video. I believe this is day number 5 if I'm not mistaken, but I'm excited about it because the past 4 videos have been more so about like lifestyle, parenting, and I was like, hey, we have to dive into some real content. So today we're actually going to talk about the importance of reading and kind of a story about how I got started in this work. I started out as a elementary school teacher. I taught 5th grade my first year. I did my student teaching in 6th grade. First job was in 5th grade, and then I did that for an additional year, and then I went to 4th grade, went back to 5th grade, went back to 4th grade, and then I said, I've had enough of that. And the reason I had enough of it is because it was so focused on testing. Everything was about the EOG. Everything was about, can they get a 3 or 4? And then they introduced level 5. So it was just like another layer of pressure. I didn't really trip out on it too bad because my students usually performed well. However, I was seeing a trend that happened within my classroom with most of my data. And that trend that I saw was that students were able to pass the test who were considered like bubble kids. I was really good at getting bubble kids. Like the kids who were like at 2s and then they were supposed to be like 2s again. I would get those babies and they would go from like 2s to 4s, 2s to 3s, like those were my babies. And then I was also really good at helping those kids who were already proficient show a large amount of growth. But I was like, it's been a couple of years and I'm not seeing the students pass the test who we want to pass the test, which were our students who were considered like level 1s. And those level 1s are students who were reading 3 and 4 years behind, okay? If you hadn't noticed anything about me, I am a person who takes on a challenge. So what I decided to do, I decided that I was going to change positions, and I left the classroom, and I became a coach in the public school system. And long story short, what that is, that means that you basically help teachers prepare lesson plans, and you support the admin staff as best as possible. Anything else you know about me, I don't do well when it comes to certain things. Like, I feel like what's good for kids is what we should all be doing. And that position just really, it was more political. And people who will tell you who know me that I am more passion. So if it's politics in it, I'm not involved. I'm more of a passion person because I want to do what's best for kids. So I tell you all that because in a quest to find the answer of why I could not move those babies who were significantly below, it was such an aha and clear moment of clarity for me. It was so clear. I was like, why hadn't anybody thought of this? Like, why hadn't anybody said this? And that moment of clarity was, we have to be able to get students to be able to actually read the text. So I was like, okay, cool. We can do that. We can do that. So the school that I was in, we tried to pilot a program, and I think it was called like WIN. And I think it stood for like what everyone needs or something. And during that time, the whole school would be shut down and teaching phonics, okay? Well, that was tough because you have to monitor like 40 teachers, right? So I said, hey, let's bow out gracefully and I'll go start my own job. Or own company, I should say. And so that's what I did. So the past, I would say I left the job in 2017. Yes, I left the job in 2017, so about 3 years. And in the past 3 years, I have been teaching myself the skills and teaching parents the skills that kids need in order to read proficiently, okay? So let's break that down. What does a proficient reader look like? Number 1, let's get clear on some things. A proficient reader is beyond just actually reading the words. That's like the gateway in, okay? The problem that happens is in those those readers who are like significantly below, they spend so much time trying to get the words out, and that's because they have a poor phonics processor, I guess you could say. So they have a real hard time with phonics. 9 times out of 10, if they have a problem with phonics, they also have a problem with this thing called phonological awareness or phonemic awareness. And that means how they're taking the sounds in and putting them right back out without even seeing the letters in front of them, okay? So that's a sector of struggling readers. But then you have another sector of struggling readers who basically they can get the words out, but it's just like they're looking at the words and they're just saying what they see on the paper, and there's no fluency involved. There's also no skills in place to retain and even figure out unknown words. And that's huge, because if you can get the word out but you don't know what it means, you have to have some type of strategy. The other thing is that they have no comprehension strategies, okay? So I just wanted to take a moment, share my story about how I got started in this work. I am still constantly learning, but the biggest takeaway that I want you to have is that comprehension issues don't begin with comprehension issues. That's like the final step of it, okay? Comprehension issues usually begin with, like we said earlier, phonemic or phonological awareness, phonics, because they have a hard time getting it out. And usually they have a hard time getting it out. They probably have a hard time with fluency. And with fluency, they most definitely may have a problem with those comprehension vocabulary issues, okay? Now, some people say, well, I can just teach this one thing and then they'll be able to get it. Don't do that, mama. You cannot teach one thing. Like, you cannot just teach comprehension strategies and think that they're going to be able to comprehend. No, because here's the thing. As the texts get harder, they're going to need those other things that you neglected to get them through the text. So from this video, do not think I can just teach vocabulary, I can just teach comprehension. Think about it like a big old wheel, and that wheel is just spinning, right? If we take one piece away, that wheel's going to get stuck. It's going to creak, it might spin a little bit. Then you take another piece away, it's going to creak, and it might spin a little bit. Soon, if you keep taking things away, that will not be able to spin, okay? So just a little background information of how I got started with this work. And also giving you some insight into where your child may be. Another thing that I want to leave you with is how to decide what type of reader you have. Number one, if they're constantly asking you what a word is, how to say that word, what it means, or they like really shy when it's time to read aloud, I will probably take a guess that phonics is an issue, okay? The other type of reader, if they're reading the words good, they're looking at you, and then you ask them what's going on, and they say, I don't know, then it's more so not phonics. And some of these kids who do those type of things, those are the kids who have memorized a lot of words. So that's a whole nother video, but just some insight into basically the roots of comprehension issues. The key is it don't start with comprehension. See you guys in day number 6. Leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video.